The harmattan wind swept through Umuaka, carrying with it the dry scent of dust and something far stranger, an iron-like town that clung to the air. Nkem, the chief's only daughter, stood by the roadside stall her father had built for her, smiling sweetly as men and women from neighboring villages lined up to buy her palm wine. But this was no ordinary drink, it was thicker, darker, and seemed to glisten unnaturally under the sun. No one dared to question it, not when Nkem poured with such grace, her bracelets jingling softly as if to charm away suspicion. They said her palm wine had a magic to it, 1 sip, and your worries faded, 2 sips, and laughter bubbled out of you like a child. But for those who drank too much, strange things began to happen. Some claimed they dreamed of shadowy rivers flowing in the night. Others woke with a copper taste in their mouths and crimson stains on their pillows. Yet, the villagers kept coming back. Nkem's wine made the weary strong, the sad joyful, and the hungry forget their hunger. But no one knew the price of such bliss. Chief Obi's had always been a man of influence, but lately, his wealth seemed to flow like the river in rainy season. New goats grazed in his compound, gold glinted in his teeth when he laughed, and his wives wore wrappers of imported silk. The elders whispered that it was all thanks to his daughter's palm wine business. But some wondered, why did the chief never drink it himself? One evening, just as the sun bled into the horizon, a stranger arrived in Umuaka. He was lean, with eyes like sharpened knives, and carried nothing but a small leather satchel. Nkem noticed him immediately, his gaze lingered on her stall longer than it should have. When he finally stepped forward, he didn't ask for wine, he asked where she got her ingredients. Her smile didn't falter, but her eyes hardened, just for a moment. You wouldn't understand, she said softly, pouring a cup anyway. The man didn't drink, he only sniffed it, his nostrils flaring slightly. Smells like life, he murmured. And something else. Nkem leaned in, her voice low. Careful, traveler. Some truths are not meant for your tongue. Her bracelets chimed faintly, like a warning. The days that followed saw the stranger lingering in the village, asking quiet questions. He spoke to elders, visited the market, even wandered near the forest where few dared to tread. Nkem watched him from afar, her smile still as bright as the midday sun, but her fingers drummed restlessly against the counter. Something about him stirred a dangerous wind. One night, when the moon sat high like a silver coin, the stranger followed the faint sound of dripping into the chief's courtyard. There, in the dim glow of an oil lamp, he saw Nkem bent over a large clay jar. The liquid she poured shimmered red, too red for palm wine. The smell hit him, rich, metallic, unmistakable. Blood. His heart thundered in his chest, but he didn't move. Nkem's hands were steady as she sealed the gourds, humming an old lullaby. For a moment, she looked less like a vendor and more like a priestess at an altar. The next day, the stranger confronted her at the stall. It's not wine you're selling, he said quietly. She did not deny it. And yet, people drink, she replied, her tone smooth as silk. They drink because it gives them dreams, visions, power. Would you like to try? He hesitated. Curiosity battled fear in his eyes. Slowly, he reached for the cup. Nkem's lips curved into a knowing grin. Somewhere deep in the forest, a drum began to beat, soft at first, then louder, as if welcoming him into a secret he could never unlearn. The first sip burned like fire, then bloomed into warmth that filled every corner of his body. The market seemed to fade. He was standing in a vast field under a black sky dotted with crimson stars. Nkem stood before him in the vision, her beads glowing faintly, her voice low and commanding. Now you see. When he blinked, the vision was gone. The market's noise crashed back around him. His hands shook. What was that? He demanded. Nkem leaned closer, her voice like a whisper in a storm. A gift, she said, and a warning. Do not drink again unless you are ready to pay. That night, sleep abandoned him. When he closed his eyes, he saw flashes, faces he had never met, places he had never walked, shadows pulling at him with long, crooked fingers. By dawn, sweat soaked his tunic. The taste of the drink still lingered on his tongue, sweet and heavy with dread. He sought Nkem again, this time not as a curious traveler but as a man desperate for answers. "What is in it?" he asked. Nkem's gaze softened for the first time. "Not what," she said, "but who. Every jar is brewed with a piece of a soul, sometimes willing, sometimes not." He realized then why her store was never empty, why her buyer sometimes returned with eyes haunted and strange. "And the souls," he pressed. Nkem's smile returned, sharp, unyielding. "They never leave," she said. "They stay with you. They change you." The stranger could have left then. He could have walked away from the market, from the village, from the taste that still pulled at his tongue like a hook. But he didn't. Instead, he returned to the store the next day, coin in hand, asking for more. The second drink was smoother, sweeter, but the vision struck harder. This time, the black sky split open, and rivers of red light poured down. In the distance, he saw himself, not as he was now, but older, eyes like Nkem's, carrying a jar that pulsed as if alive. When the vision broke, he was on his knees, clay cup shattered beside him. Nkem stood over him, her shadow long in the late afternoon sun. "It has chosen you," she said quietly. "There is no going back now." In the days that followed, his hunger for the drink became unbearable. He stopped asking what it was, or why it called to him. All he knew was that without it, the world seemed dull, empty, and wrong. On the seventh day, Nkem handed him not a cup, but a jar sealed with black wax. "When this is gone," she said, "you will come to me. And then, you will brew for others." He left the market without a word, the jar heavy in his hands, the faint throb of a heartbeat pulsing through the clay. Somewhere deep inside, he already knew the truth. He had not bought the drink, he had been bought by it.